Okay, changemakers, let's do this. Who of you have gotten this question ever? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And had the perfect answer? You're my tribe. And who of you have gotten to a place in your life where you thought everyone else has it figured out except yourself? And secretly wishing that this clarity muse will kiss you, and then this path will just light up, and you know exactly where you're going to be in the next 5, 10, 20 years from now? The thing is, we're living in a world that is pretty pretentious at times. We've heard it before. We have been trained or programmed to believe that there's an actual path, and if we just, follow along, then we will get to that stage where everything falls into place. That life, in fact, is linear. And that maybe, if you don't have a plan and if you're not figured out, that might be you having a problem, or maybe you even being a failure. Does that resonate? That creates a big fat illusion, not an illusion for ourselves, but for future generations to come, I believe, that when we are trained to believe that there is a linear path called life, that there is this huge expectation that we just need to tick the boxes and follow along, and then it will all make sense, and it will all be purposeful even. That creates an illusion of great expectations, and as we know, oftentimes great expectations lead to a lot of stress and a lot of disappointment. It's an illusion because now more than ever, and this is an ancient quote, change is the only constant in life. We're talking about VUCA world, VUCA meaning volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, for a reason. And if you're anything like me and have had a plan in the past, you might as well realize, okay, you have a plan until you get punched in the face. So let's get real for a second. I'm Hedi, I'm 42 years old, and I don't have life figured out at all, and I don't intend to. In fact, I was having 2 careers that pushed me into a very uncomfortable place. We've heard this today multiple times, and I'm grateful for that. And the reason was not because I wasn't performing more or I was not ticking more boxes, but because I was tired of my masks. In my 20s, I was, while studying musicology and media, ticking the boxes there, I was working for artists like Herbert Grönemeyer, Christoph Schlingensief, Salzburg Festival. Music was my thing. And then the second round, I was diving deep into the innovation field, worked for Fortune 500 companies across the globe, was busy 6 times a day, a week, a day as well, just constantly running, achieving. At the time when I was absolutely done with that, in fact, my entire system around me, and that is no blaming, it was just observation, had in fact thought I had everything figured out. I had a plan. And I felt guilty not to move ahead until the day it just felt too heavy. It was full outside, but absolutely empty inside. It felt like a big stage, everyone was clapping, and the masks were just too heavy. I had to drop the mic, and the performance was over. What now? I dropped into twice. The second time I had a baby, so that was even more crass, I would say, with an identity crisis as well. I was dropping out of the zone. I was waiting for the prince to come on a white horse and rescue me from my misery. I was worrying about my future as a mom and as a caretaker. I was masking even more because I feared that everyone else in my surrounding would drop as well. I was comparing to those who I thought would have it figured out. I was blaming myself not to get it together immediately. I was excusing not to get out of bed, and I was shrinking. But I had two things. One was I was done with the past. No more cycles in this crazy hamster wheel performance stage, and I was also equipped with tools. I was teaching my clients how to innovate, and I was literally setting myself down. I was like, Hedi, you better walk the talk now. Come on. And I mean, there's so many great tools if you dive into this world, but one principle, very simple principle that always stuck with me the most was to prototype. If you have a question, you prototype, because that gives you the allowance to test, learn, iterate. A prototype is an early sample, a model or release built to test, not built to perform, not built to show you how great it is. No, it is only built to test. And in other words, prototyping is the essence and the art of figuring things out. It gives you the space to tap into your full potential and explore what is beyond what you have already experienced in motion and in action. Now, I was onto it. I was so dissatisfied with so many areas of my life, and this was my first failure, which I'm going to show you today, which is don't touch all areas of your life at once, please, because if you're in overwhelm, you stay in overwhelm. Pick one area that you can control that will give you the confidence and the power to move ahead. Now, there were a couple of hiccups, and we want to solve them together. So one was, as we know from change either pushes you through pain, or you are pulled by a vision. Now, I was done with the pain stuff, as you can imagine, but a vision, if you would ask, what's your vision? People are like, don't scream at me. Like, I felt that way. Like, it was literally in my bones. Don't say that word vision, please, because there's only fog. But what each and every one of us, and I had that in my bones as well at that moment, we have a sense of knowing how we want to feel for the rest of your life. And whether that's joy, that's more joy. Whether that's more peace. And for me, it was more love. So that became my vision, my fixed star. I wasn't in the process yet. I had to figure that out along the way. But before we do that, also together, now we have one aspect. So you take one aspect. For me, the most crucial one and most desperate thing at the time when I had my new baby was work-life integration. I wanted to be a mom. I didn't want to be a consulting woman who also accidentally had a baby. I wanted to be a mom. And the first thing that I just want to give to you is that after you know how you want to feel for the rest of your life and create more of, that you do an analysis of where you're at. Because yes, the vision pulls you, but it's also good to have a little bit of pain to know when you're staying there, that's how you're going to feel for the rest of your life. And the truth for me was I was in fear, I had no clarity, no energy. Still, now I needed a process. I wasn't done for, if you're anybody who's in the design thinking field, innovation field, yeah, you don't want to do like a whole blown up design thinking project out of each and every aspect of your life if you're in overwhelm. It's just not going to happen. So slowly but surely, I took one design thinking tool and shaped it into a very simple traffic light that works like an inventory. And I called it the I Love It framework. The 3 L's that work like that. What do you want to log in when you look at the aspect of your life For me, that was I wanted to work with clients. I wanted to work with people. I loved to see how they got empowered. Second thing is the plus. What do you need more of or want more of so you feel more of the joy, love, peace? For me, that was very crucial because it was lengthy projects where you are for a period of time with the client and really on their side while they're going deep through the change process. Just one workshop, as we did back then, is not gonna cut it, right? And the third one, the limitation or letting go completely, maybe the most important thing. So what are you able to cross out completely? For me, it was necessary that I was not gonna go on the streets again. I was hungover from travel. What now? We are not going to stay in our head, we're going to do. So now launch not with extra luggage. That is a principle, because now what we can do is we can hide away conceptualizing, staying in our head and thinking how great this project could be. No, take opportunity that comes along and then go for it. Create this as your prototyping playground. For me, that was a client asking for a workshop, and instead of giving them the workshop, I pretended, that's the first time I'm saying this out loud, that I was, in fact, having experiences as an online coach, which I did not have at the time. In 2018, design thinking in online just was not married at all. People thought I was absolutely nuts. So now we did this project, and through prototyping and creating this playground where we co-created this together, we were actually doing it 4 pit stops over time, we created knowledge. Now, because prototyping isn't just a one-time thing, it is tested and iterated. You learn from it. You can take this framework after each and every pit stop you did, action step you did, playground you created, and then test again. So what stays? What are you going to log in? What do we need more of? Do we need more interaction maybe? And what do we need to limit? Now, miraculously, I had energy again. Slowly but surely, I was going out of the zone into my zone. I felt hopeful. I felt purposeful, powerful, because this was new, and it didn't work perfectly, but it worked, and I could iterate on it, and I stayed online forever, growing, energetic, expanding. And now I got maniac. I stuck this label I love onto every single aspect of my life. The relationships. How do I get more relationships, or how do I mold my relationships so I feel more love, we feel more love? My husband and I, we were married for quite some time. Now we got a prototyping flat in his city, and I prototyped how it is as a Berlin girl to live in a small city. We took a flat, and a year I experienced it, and we created it together, and I loved it. Being a mom needed big prototyping, because that means you need probably, I needed to let go of a lot of limiting beliefs and a lot of generational trauma. Morning and evening rituals, self-care, coaching frameworks, online courses, you name it. Anything got prototyped, and you can prototype anything. Now, the funny thing about life is that usually we live it in this direction, onwards, and we understand it backwards. Who's experienced that? Yeah. Okay, so as I dove into my personal development and got a little bit of a knowledge about how the brain works and how change is actually limited or even pushed back by certain things in our nervous system, and I realized that maybe I was onto something. I was onto something that I wanted to understand more clearly, because when we want to go into a change process, our nervous system says, no, don't, because it wants to keep you safe. Your brain wants to keep you safe. Subconscious is like, no, you're not going to go there, and I can't control you. It rather wants to keep you unhappy and safe than happy and unsafe. okay? So what I did accidentally was that I went out of my brain and out of my assumptions, which just were piling up, the fear was piling up, into experiences what it really was like. And through that, gained clarity. I understood clarity isn't a kiss from a muse. Clarity is a process. I didn't even know what was in me or what I wanted, but through experiencing it, I realized what it was and how love really was designed. A little bit of some stats. Clarity calms the amygdala, the fight or flight, and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So you are more calm, more grounded, but that's not all. The ownership that was created by just doing it, I was not driven by fear. I was alongside fear, but I was also the CEO of my life again. I was out of victimhood, thank you very much, and a creator. And that activates self-agency circuits. The threat response went down, vagal tone went up. I felt safer and more purposeful. And problem solving, an ultimate human trait, went up, and that releases dopamine, builds control, my cortisol dropped, my focus went up, and I felt more and more and more engaged. Accidentally, I created a training for myself where I became more change literate, but also trained and rewired my brain for more confidence and clarity. I was also rewriting my story from being this hassle, failure, into somebody who's figuring it out. I stopped being in the past, and with intention, and still do that today, try really to do that every single day, to decide, is this next step out of fear, or is it out of love? Because new decisions create ultimately a new life. What if you can do the same? What if the only thing that we need in order to get going is to get clear how we really want to feel for the rest of our lives? Most people never start. Most people hide behind potential, and we need all hands on deck now more than ever. The world is changing, it is transforming. What if this is your greatest chance to prototype your life? Thank you very much.